Hello, Harley. Say hello. Oh yeah, you're quiet now. All right, so here we go. Here's the not the final product, but basically almost final product. I went and found in my area the municipal dump site or where they provide you free mulch, and I was score. So I ran over this morning, grabbed a truckload of all their mulch, which is pretty big wood chips and everything. It's not really just one size; it's everything mixed all together. Um, kind of ran that direction after my last couple videos of not being very informative. I kind of did my homework and researched a little more and found out a lot more about what I was trying to tell you last time. The gentleman's name is Paul, and I'm going to butcher his last name, Gotchi. Where I found it was the Back to Eden, and that's all it's called. And so it's Back to Eden Garden, but they just call it Back to Eden. Oh, put on a show. And so there he'll be able to explain much more than I can and give you a better understanding. But he pretty much mulched his ground and doesn't do anything. Granted, he doesn't have raised boxes, so I don't know if mine will quite work out the same way. So it's like my own little UFC fight. If you get bored, just come out and watch these two idiots. So there's my take on it, at least, or so far what I've gotten. And this stuff is awesome, I gotta tell you. Just for the simple fact, even if if nothing grows this year, I don't even care. When I picked it up, I filled up the bed of my truck, and it didn't even make it squat at all. I mean, it's pretty much just light as feathers. I mean, it's wood chips, and like he explains in the video, it's lighter than dirt, and it does not blow away, so you never really lose any of it. I mean, okay, yeah, if you have a hurricane, yeah, it's going, but regular winds throughout the day, it's not going anywhere. So my truck didn't even squat, and as you can see, it snowed and it's been pretty dang cold here. So when I first went over there, I didn't even think about bringing it. I just wanted to take a look at it and see what I was up against, because I figured it was all frozen together, because I've never dealt with mulch and wood chips before. And so I went up to the pile and kicked off the snow just so I could get a look at it. And when I did, all of it all was pretty much came apart. So I was like, oh hell yeah! So I grabbed my shovel, loaded it at the back of my truck, had no issues whatsoever. You don't put any strain on your body because it's so light. The truck, it didn't even squat the leaf springs. Drug that over here. Unloaded it, didn't even need a shovel, used a rake. Raked it off from the bed of my truck into my wheelbarrow. Usually I loaded my wheelbarrow up as high as it could before it spilled over and hit, that was light as anything. So I mean, just the weight factor alone is worth just giving it a shot. And then the moisture that it holds on top of that is even more beneficial. And I mean, the list goes on. And hopefully I can really get a lot of good stuff out of it this year. So as far as everything else goes, so I've completed the first two boxes here. It's not pretty by any means, but hey, whatever. I'm halfway through with this box here. That end down there is finished. This end here I was digging out, and right as I finished digging up, it was getting kind of dark and chilly. Packed everything up, and that's when the snow started, so I haven't come back out yet. And I'm pretty sure that this portion is pretty frozen, so I'd rather deal with the mulch today, I guess. And then of course I got this last box that hasn't even touched. I got that big piece of wood back there. I just split that the other day, and it's rotting in the middle, which is awesome. And I'm going to bury that in this section of the wood here. So I might be doing a little overkill with doing hugelkultur plus wood chips on top. And I mean, I put it on pretty thick. It's some areas might be 4 inches, some areas might be 8 inches. I don't know. And I guess I'll just see how it goes. And the best part about all of that too is, so if it is a little thick, the way I have it set up, just go and throw it off right there. If it's a little thin, I'll just pick some of that up, put it back on. I mean, you can't get any better than that. So So I had a question the other day, and I was thinking about it. So if I do all these wood chips and I fill up that area back there, am I going to have to fence it off so that these guys don't self-water the plants for me, and then I get funny tasting, vegetables at the end of the day? So I kept on thinking to myself, and going back to Eden with Paul. Every issue he has, he always asks God, and God always gives him an answer. And so I figured, well, hell. So I asked God, and I said, hey, what should I do? Should I put a fence up, or should I just leave this all natural and go that route with it? Or how do I keep my dogs from going to the bathroom on everything? And it's kind of a weird thing. I was able to put the dogs together, and other people might think about it and just be like, yeah, it's coincidence, or you're just trying too hard. But I don't care. It was a good message for me. So there's the plastic trash bags from the other day. Remember, I had compiled them all together and put them in one bag, and I was getting ready to throw them out, but I got too lazy and I left them out. So after I had asked God, what can I do to keep the dogs from, going to the bathroom over in my garden? And then I look out the window, and they had taken that plastic bag and they had spread it apart and ripped it all to shreds again. And at first I was mad, but then I realized they were laying on it. And then that kind of reminded me of this thing that I heard back in the day, and learned that, dogs don't shit where they eat, basically, or don't crap where they eat. And so if they're using this bedding, hopefully they'll lay on this bedding, and if it's long enough and they lay everywhere, they won't go to the bathroom. And I mean, they've done it for the most part. So like, they always lay right here and in this area here, because the sun comes up and it really, really warms them up during the wintertime, or even in the summer. I mean, they got the shade from the tree and everything. So, and they never go to the bathroom there. They always go to the bathroom all in that area there. So, if we just lay this mulch out, I mean, obviously I'll keep an eye on it. If I start seeing piles over there with my tomato or with my pumpkins and stuff, then I'll have to think of something different. Which leads me to my next benefit. So these guys love getting up here. Absolutely love it. And I'm spoiling them, so I never punish them for getting up there. I just think it's awesome, and I don't have to bend down to pet them, so it makes it even better. So with the wood chips, is the ground never compacts. It never loses it. It stays nice and fluffy, and it continues on. So these two retards can continually jump up there all they want, as long as I'm not planting anything, because they get up there and tear some tomatoes out, then I'm gonna have to figure shot collars or something. But they can get up there all they want through the fall, through the winter, through most of the spring, and do what they got to do, and who cares, and enjoy it. And they will never compact the soil for me, which is, God, can't beat that. So I'll never have to use a shovel again. I'll pretty much just use my trusty little rake leaning against the fence over there, or against the deck, and that's all I'm going to need. Another thing Paul talks about is watch the animals around you in his garden, because he has chickens and dogs and everything like that. And he always laughs because people ask him how good his food is. He's like, well, it's good enough for my dogs to eat, and my chickens and everything else. Then obviously it's good for him. Oh, let's see it. You fat bastard. So I was kind of wondering if the mulch, is good enough. Well, I guess if it's good enough for these two they love it. They've been digging through it, sniffing it out, grabbing stuff out of it, and eating whatever they can. I don't know what the hell they're eating. They just love it when stuff, starts composting and starts burning up for them. They like that fermenting whatever. I don't know. So these two have been continuously eating things out of here, which is good. Maybe I don't have to buy any more dog food for the rest of the week. I'm just kidding. I don't know. But if it's good enough for them to eat, and obviously they haven't keeled over, well, that's not good. I'm pretty sure my tomatoes and everything else is going to do pretty good. So, so for anyone else, I guess, go watch the video. There's a bunch of YouTube clips on it. I forgot. There's one site that did several interviews, and the interviews are different than the actual film. He has a film. It's backtoeden.org, and it's on, what is that, Vimeo or something like that. So that's where they do the whole deal. It's an hour and 47 minutes, and man, it was an eye-opener for me. I mean, it's just, I mean, the films on the YouTube clips and the interviews on him, those were eye openers. But the film kind of puts it all together, and then the YouTube clips on top of that, and he's helped me find my faith again, and he's turned me into a believer into his whole gardening aspect, which is he didn't coin this term. I don't know how it got coined or whatever, but the Back to Eden garden and this whole style, everyone keeps calling it the Back to Eden style, and not once do you ever hear Paul talk about it Back to Eden style. It's the creator's style. You know, God's the one that set forth the plan, and he's just mimicking what God did. So I'd really recommend you go and take a look at those videos. I'm definitely not doing them any justice, and hopefully as these videos continue, hopefully my production will do it justice. And for those of you who don't believe in it, then maybe if I prove you wrong with this, then great, and if not, then whatever, I don't care. I'm still going to do it. So, but it is going to get kind of interesting because, you know, I have 4 inches of mulch on top, and then I have hugelkultur underneath. So I don't know if that's too much going on at one time, or if that's just enough for raised beds. If I was just doing it on the ground, I wouldn't do hugelkultur. I would just do the wood chips, and that's it. With raised beds, I'm not sure. And so this is kind of weird. So I have the plastic lined one there, so that's a different test, and then I have the regular one there, or the rest of them are regular, and then behind everything I'll have just, you know, wood mulch on the ground. So it's gonna be kind of interesting to see what happens, what does better, what does worse, what works and what doesn't work, or if they all work, or I don't know. It's all gonna be interesting. And then of course we'll see these 2 idiots and see how they keep on going. They should be happy. They just got a whole brand new bed that spans throughout the entire deal. So once again, I highly recommend this stuff. It's not the wood chips, like, it's not just one size wood chip either, so don't get confused. Like, you know, you got big all the way down to, you know, just anything. It's all completely at all stages of, you know, decomposing and everything like that. That's what you need. So if you get the one size, you know, the screened type of mulch, doesn't do what it's supposed to. But if you get the branches and twigs, and, you know, you find a tree service that's doing some trimming in your neighborhood, and you grab that's even better, because you need that nitrogen from the leaves and from the branches, of course. And even though this stuff is pretty old and it's not green anymore, it's not like that stuff evaporated or went away. It's in there still, so I'm still going to get the benefit of all of it. So don't get the one-size-fits-all stuff, and then don't go with just straight soil and dirt, because that stuff, you find yourself just doing the same thing over and over every year. So, alrighty, well, I hope this video did a little better than the previous 2. Probably not as informative as I still want them to be, but I guess I'm getting better as the videos go on. And then, of course, say goodbye. Bye.